London, December 1952, the city that had survived the Blitz was about to face something it never saw coming, literally. The war had been over for 7 years, but the scars hadn't healed. Rationing had only just ended, and rebuilding was still underway. People were exhausted in the way that only years of survival can exhaust you. They had made it through the bombs, through the blackouts, through the loss. They had earned their ordinary lives back. And ordinary life in London in 1952 meant coal. Coal in every fireplace, coal in every factory, coal in the power stations that kept the lights on. Nobody thought twice about the smoke. It had always been there. It was just part of London. On December 5th, a cold, windless air mass settled over the city, like a lid on a pot. The smoke had nowhere to go. Meteorologists called it a temperature inversion. Warm air above, cold air trap below, a ceiling made of weather. Everything underneath it, the exhaust, the smoke, the sulfur, locked in place. The smoke mixed with fog rolling in off the Thames, and it turned yellow, then brown, then something that had no name yet. This wasn't regular fog. Londoners knew fog. This was different. It had weight, it had texture, it smelled like sulfur and rot and something chemical underneath that nobody could identify. It coated the back of your throat before you even reached the street. People on the street couldn't see their own shoes, not an exaggeration, not a figure of speech. You looked down and your feet were gone. Some described walking into walls they passed every day for 30 years. Others described the silence, how the smog absorbed the sound, muffled the city, made 8 million people feel suddenly and completely alone. Buses stopped running and drivers couldn't see past the hood. One driver stepped off his bus on the Strand to guide it on foot. He gave up after half a block. Ambulances were grounded, the city's emergency services paralyzed, the underground became the only way to move. The platforms filled beyond capacity, people who had nowhere else to go. Londoners wrapped scarves around their faces and felt their way along walls just to get home. Children held onto lampposts to find their bearings, strangers grabbed each other's arms in the dark. The city was moving blind. Some people didn't move at all, they stayed inside, closed the windows, waited. They didn't know they were already breathing it. People woke up in the night coughing, they found the room hazy, they thought it was their eyes, they wiped their faces, they looked again, the fog was inside the house. Inside Sadler's Wells Theatre, a performance of La Traviata was halted mid-show. The audience could no longer see the stage, the singer could no longer see the conductor. A theater full of people sitting in a cloud. Some of them started coughing before they reached the exits. Outside was no better. At the Smithfield Cattle Show, prize livestock died in their stalls overnight. Animals bred and raised for years. Their lungs were black. Judges found them in the morning. Birds fell out of the sky over the Thames. Fish floated to the surface of the river. The city's animals were sending a message. Most people didn't hear it in time. For 5 days, the city suffocated. 5 days of yellow-gray darkness at noon. 5 days of the Thames vanishing from its own bridges. At hospitals, the wards filled faster than staff could process them. It started with the vulnerable, the elderly, the very young, those already sick. That part wasn't entirely surprising. What was surprising was who came next. Men in their 40s, women who'd never smoked a day in their lives, people who had walked into the hospital on their own 2 feet, in beds within hours. Their lips turned blue, their fingernails darkened, their lungs had simply given up. Doctors called it acute respiratory failure. They wrote it down and tried to keep up with the numbers. The numbers kept coming. Families called from phone boxes in the smog, trying to find out which ward, which floor, which bed, trying to find someone who might already be gone. The morgues ran out of space, coffin makers ran out of coffins, florists ran out of flowers. That detail, the flowers, appeared in newspapers weeks later. Somehow it landed harder than these statistics. A city that couldn't bury its dead fast enough. The official death toll at the time, 4,000. The government said it quickly and moved on. A number designed to be absorbed and forgotten. Later investigations told a different story. Researchers went back, they compared the numbers. The real toll was closer to 12,000. Some estimates go higher. 12,000 people alive on December 4th, dead by December 10th in 1 week in one city from air. Not a bomb, not a plague, not a war, just air that had nowhere to go. The British government was slow to respond, painfully slow. Officials called it just a bad fog. They cited cold weather, pre-existing conditions, bad luck. One minister pointed to an influenza outbreak. There was no influenza outbreak. Another said the public should take sensible precautions. Nobody specified what those were. This was weather, not policy. This was nature, not negligence. That was the line. The public called it something else. They called it a killer, and they started writing letters. Letters flooded Parliament, from doctors who had watched people die, from scientists whose data the government quietly tried to bury, from families who had lost someone and needed to know why. Journalists refused to let it go quiet. They kept printing the numbers. They kept asking the question nobody in power wanted to answer. How many people have to die before the air becomes someone's responsibility? It took pressure, it took outrage, it took years. But in 1956, the UK passed the Clean Air Act, the first major piece of air quality legislation in the world. It mandated smokeless fuel zones, it relocated industrial smokestacks, it set standards, it created enforcement. It changed what governments were allowed to let people breathe. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't fast enough, it couldn't bring anyone back, but it established something that had never existed before.